awesomeness is in the journey coming down here, and it sort of sets you up. But it sets you up in a way that you don't expect. We're 1,000 metres, 1,111 metres here. So it's a high part of the mountain range. We need to be wary here of the steps. Yeah, they can be slippery.
The Upper Blue Mountains outside Sydney are steeped with ancient folklore and critically important cultural sites. Getting to them, though, isn't always easy. We are being taken to a really special place where hundreds of cultural objects were unearthed that date all the way back to the Ice Age.
Oh, here we are.
Wow.
Big cathedral.
This is incredible.
Yeah, quite magical. The colours and the texture. There's some rock art up here you can see, very faded. There's a few there a bit stronger than others, a hand stencil, child's. It's about 25 metres high, about 22 metres wide and 20 metres deep. It's very asymmetrical, and it's just gradually just eroding.
Ancient stories handed down told of Aboriginal people using caves on the cliffsides along the Great Dividing Range as pit stops, places of refuge on long journeys through the mountains. But 1 kilometre above sea level, scientists queried if this landscape was too treacherous, impassable for any person. Here, inside this sandstone cave known as Dargan Shelter, a series of discoveries changed everything they thought they knew.
It's a phenomenal cave, and you can absolutely see why people have been drawn to this space for tens of thousands of years. But what makes it really significant archaeologically is actually what's beneath our feet. It just connects you directly with the people who were here before.
During 3 digs at Dargan Shelter, archaeologists excavated 693 ancient artefacts and cultural objects.
We have the full sequence of occupation right from the beginning of when people started using it in the last ice age, or possibly they were in the landscape before that even. But this cave, the first object, was 20,000 years old.
How do you date something back 20,000 years? I mean, it's a long time.
It is a long time, and so we're very lucky we have radiocarbon dating, and so that date came from a fireplace that someone had made.
Archaeologist Dr Amy Way from the Australian Museum and the University of Sydney is the lead author of the research and the excavation director.
We've got here 2 of the most significant finds from the excavation, and the reason they're so significant is because they preserve evidence of use. So we can tell what people were doing here at the cave. And so this is a sandstone, iron-infused sandstone slab, and it has these linear grooves on it. And so they were made when a person was sharpening either a bone or a piece of wood and sharpening it into a point.
Given the cold climate, Amy thinks it could have been used to make a needle for sewing clothes.
And that age was 13,500 years. And it was right at the end of the final cooling of the last ice age and before we get into the warmer Holocene that we're in at the moment.
Another significant find was this basalt stone they suspect was used to crack seeds or nuts.
And so, again, this is people sitting around, having a feed, cracking open some nuts for a snack. And the nuts, of course, haven't survived, but because they made an impact mark on this stone, we can reconstruct what they were doing.
There is evidence Aboriginal people lived in the Blue Mountains for more than 30,000 years. But before these findings, there was no evidence to prove they travelled at this elevation.
This is a really important area culturally too, because it's on a dreaming track or a songline track that brought in a lot of the different mobs from up north, from the east, from the west, and even from the south, because it's on the way to one of the major ceremonial grounds in the high country just not far from here.
And despite everything they know, it's still hard to imagine how harsh the conditions would have been.
A lot harsher. Of course, the tree line is lower. There would have been probably some shrubs and some perennial things that were hanging around, but you know, you'd be fighting for firewood. It'd be tough. I could only imagine that the food sources would be, it'd be hard to get. There's the stories in the stone, and I think that's a big part of archaeology, is to try and weave those narratives, and that's where science and culture works together.
Coming into this shelter is like nothing you've ever done before. It takes your breath away. It's such a magical place. It's very awe-inspiring.
Direct custodian Erin Wilkins' deep connection to country here is now even deeper.
To know that not only are we standing here today, but my ancestors and many, many ancestors and many people have come through, sat in the same sand, in the same soil, in the same surrounds for thousands and thousands of years. It gives us a lot more clarity, a lot more information. It connects more our stories, but it's healing for her, it's healing for Mother, that we're back here, it's healing for us.
These places are not just dots on the map. They're touchstones for history, for relationships with country and law. So they're deeper than what we could even imagine.